Hello and welcome to the Al-Attiyah Foundation podcast. My name is Naweed Jabarkil. Today we're delighted to be joined by Ms. Tofol Al-Nasr. Ms. Al-Nasr is a partner at Daleelaq Consulting and was named in the Middle East Policy Council's prestigious 40 Under 40 awardees for 2023. She's also a former OPEC diplomat and ExxonMobil executive. Tofol, welcome to the Al-Attiyah Foundation podcast.
Thank you so much, Naweed. It's a pleasure to be a part of this exciting program, and particularly with such a distinguished moderator.
Thank you. It's great to have you. Let's begin then. Just to start off with, why don't you provide us an overview of the core function of what Daleelaq Consulting does and your role within the organization?
Daleelaq Consulting is a consulting firm that my husband, Martin Goggins Campos, founded in 2016, and we currently manage it together. Martin is a seasoned attorney with around 20 years of international experience, the breadth of which is in big law. So it has been an exciting opportunity to work with him. Our firm advises private and government sector clients on government relations and transactional matters related to energy, financial services, and more recently, real estate and hospitality development sectors. Members of our firm have represented government-owned energy companies in connection with large-scale energy infrastructure development and financing, arranged financing for sovereign and large private groups, and engaged in numerous public policy and government relations matters on behalf of our clients. My role within the firm is focused on supporting our government relations and policy advice and to manage the firm's day-to-day operations.
So a bit of a change from the energy world, although I'm sure in all that financing and legal advice and public affairs, there's still some overlap with energy. You began your career in the marketing arm of Qatar Energy and then joined ExxonMobil as an advisor in the corporation's International Government Relations Office. So a link there to perhaps what you're doing now. That was in DC in the US. How big a change was this, and why did you decide to take that step?
I started my career worked for Qatar Energy after graduating with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Marketing and Management. And during my time with Qatar Energy, I developed new skills and started to build a successful career in the energy sector. I worked very hard to learn and progress throughout my career, and I was very fortunate to receive fantastic support throughout, and I was assigned meaningful responsibilities by my colleagues. I decided to pursue a master's degree in international commerce and policy in the US, as I was very, very interested in exploring the relationship between energy revenues and socioeconomic development, which I could see we were experiencing firsthand at home. After successfully graduating, I then joined ExxonMobil's International Government Relations team in Washington, DC. And at ExxonMobil, I was able to combine the experience and skills that I developed at Qatar Energy in transactional and government relations matters with the skills that I learned earning my master's degree. ExxonMobil provided me with a fantastic platform and a lot of support to develop and hone in top-tier government relations and public policy skills and experience.
And what sort of work did it involve? I mean, a lot of us would look at ExxonMobil and a giant in the global energy industry, but what sort of deals and who and what did you advise on while you were in the company?
At ExxonMobil, I worked with an experienced team in Washington, D.C. to handle region-specific government relations on behalf of the corporation. So within my role, I engaged with embassies, think tanks, and government bodies to stay abreast of regional development. I was also nominated to serve on the ExxonMobil Foundation, where I worked on the corporation's Women and Girls program, which aims to inspire young women to pursue careers in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And also on the Women's Economic Opportunity Program, which supports women entrepreneurs in the region.
And you did make another breakthrough, becoming the first Qatari woman to serve her country as a diplomat at OPEC. That was 2017, when His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Sada, then obviously the Minister of Energy and Industry in Qatar, decided to put you forward for the position. I mean, lots of people look at OPEC even from 2017 to now. It's changed so much as an organization. What was it like being inside OPEC, and what were your duties there?
Working at OPEC was truly a fascinating experience. I started there as a researcher in the medium to long-term studies department, where I worked with a very experienced team to co-author the organization's flagship publication, the World Oil Outlook, or as we endearingly refer to it as the WOO. Then I was promoted by His Excellency, the late Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo, to the organization's public relations division, where I managed a team of PR and audiovisual professionals to organize OPEC's press conferences, the OPEC International Seminar, as well as public outreach programs.
And of course, Qatar since then, never a major oil producer, but it's no longer a member of OPEC. Quite a drastic move in some circles. Others seem to understand the decision. What are your views on the exit of Qatar from OPEC, and should it still be there?
As Qatar continues to pursue its role as a reliable and trustworthy energy supplier across the globe, the country periodically reviews its contributions on the international energy scene. The role of natural gas as a transitional fuel is increasing, and Qatar is set to help meet the growing global demand for gas. So, as confirmed by His Excellency Saad Al-Kaabi, the decision to exit OPEC was purely based on the result of a review of Qatar's contributions and commitments to dedicate more resources to increase the production and export of natural gas.
Yeah, the focus firmly elsewhere. Looking at Qatar moving forward then, and perhaps the Gulf more generally, it's been the center of the global energy world for quite some time, given that it's primarily a fossil fuel exporting area. As this move towards net zero and the energy transition happens and gathers pace, do you think that the region's prominence, importance is going to decline?
I'm confident that the energy transition will provide Qatar and the region at large with opportunities to continue to supply the world with much needed natural gas to make the transition as smooth as possible. It is very, very important for a stable supply to continue in order to meet growing global demand for natural gas, especially from the developed and developing countries.
And looking at Qatar specifically, then having the advantage of working within the government, but also representing it internationally and the private sector, what do you make of diversification efforts? Are they going fast enough in Qatar? Is it going to be in the right sort of place to move off those energy and gas exports?
I have no doubt that the region will adapt as it's always done in the past. Qatar, for example, has invested heavily in creating a knowledge-based economy, which has already borne fruit and continues to grow. Early on, Qatar invested in education, healthcare, and social development to establish a strong foundation on which the country can build. We now have a healthy, highly educated, and capable population equipped with all the tools to take the country forward toward new technologies to meet future demand.
And looking at climate change and the net to raise zero that we spoke about, by mid-century, that's clearly the key goal or key issue of our time. What policies do you think the Gulf region is implementing at the moment that's moving towards that? And is it relying on large sovereign funds when it comes to funding them through this crisis, as it has done in the past? You mentioned at Daleelaq at the moment financing, and that was one area you were looking at. Is there enough being done to try and prevent sovereign funds having to step in again to prevent economic crises?
Well, as you know, Naveed, our region has limited water resources and local food production. So that has made us all in the region historically aware of our need to conserve and treat these resources very carefully. So this ingrained consciousness has translated to many government policies and practices that are designed to reduce consumption and increase efficiency. In Qatar, we see shared cooling facilities in the Ras Laffan industrial complex. We see the use of the latest technology in residential and commercial district cooling facilities, water conservation initiatives by Kahramat, also public campaigns against food waste, the use of renewable energies, and sovereign investments in developing the clean technologies of the future, including carbon capture and storage and converting hydrocarbons to hydrogen and ammonia.
And in your current role, what's the key areas you focus on then? Let's take climate change, policy on fossil fuel matters, or is the move to Daleelaq a bit more into the political scene, which is something I guess you had plenty of experience with given the government affairs work in the past?
In my current roles, I focus mainly on international government relations and communications, public policy, and advisory services. So on a daily basis, I monitor policy changes and developments that may affect our clients' industries and offer advice on engagement and communication strategies.
Great, Tofol. I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much, Tofol Al-Nasr, for providing us with some great insight that I'm sure our listeners enjoyed, particularly the perspective looking at what it was like as the first female diplomat for Qatar at OPEC, as well as the experience stateside with ExxonMobil. Thank you very much for joining us on behalf of the foundation, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the future, Tofol.
Thank you, Naveed.
And thank you very much for listening. Be sure to keep up to date with all of the Al-Attiyah Foundation's work by following us on Twitter and YouTube. You can find us under our name, the Al-Attiyah Foundation.